everybody and welcome to another video. So today's video, the book that I'm going to show you, I have shown you a million times in other videos on multiple channels because I love it so freaking much. It's called Eastern Body, Western Mind and it's by Anodea, Judith. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. Psychology and the Chakra System as a Path to the Self. When I first read this book, it blew my mind. I had already started learning about the chakra system, so I already knew the basics of the chakra system, and I thought I'd got pretty far with it, actually. But then I read this book and I was like, oh, I had not connected at that point. It was before I studied for my counselling. And it was not my counselling, my qualification, like I'm a holistic counsellor. So it was before I had studied for my qualification for the counselling. And although I had an interest in psychology, I don't know how I hadn't made this connection, but I hadn't connected psychology and the chakras. And when I read this book, and it is a beefy book, it blew my mind. And it was one of these books, I will be totally honest, when I started reading it, and this was quite a while ago, the first maybe 3 or 4 chapters, I thought, I'm not quite sure what's going on, and this book is far too intelligent for me and maybe I shouldn't continue. But I did continue, and after the first 3 or 4 chapters, I don't know what happened. I don't know if the book suddenly got easier, or if I got more confidence with it, or if it was kind of like when you watch a movie with subtitles, after 10 minutes you forget that you're watching a movie with subtitles and it just seems normal. Maybe it's like that, I'm not really sure, but after that it wasn't a problem at all. This book has been so useful in my life as a counsellor and as a human being in relationships with other people, friendships, family, etc., because it teaches you so much. I don't know if I want to tell you this or not. Okay, so basically there was somebody that I knew in my life at one point who had a gambling addiction, and this book literally narrows down the personality type, the body structure, the rigidity of, I think that's how you pronounce it, of the body, so that you can tell who is most likely going to fall into the category of somebody who has addiction. Now obviously there are going to be some people who find that offensive, there are going to be some people who disagree with that, and that's cool. You do you, I do me, we all good. But I loved it. It helps with illnesses. It was just amazing. I can't really, what have I highlighted there? Highlighted something here. Soul is the individual expression of spirit, and spirit is the universal expression of soul. I don't know why I'd highlighted that, but I just, as I was flicking through, I just, oh, I've highlighted something else there as well. I don't even remember doing this. Although there was a point where I used to sit in bed and read, and I used to highlight a lot. As we shed the seemingly endless tears of grief, we must remember the hope of the young boy in the stable. With this much manure, there's got to be a pony in here somewhere. Grief leads us to the pony. That's quite funny. Okay, I'll stop looking for my for my highlighted bits because that's not really that important to you. It talks about aspects of so many different things. Like you've got the shadow. In fact, let me just. Okay, so in the first section is called Introduction, Sacred Centers of the Self. So you learn all, I've got stuff in my eye, you learn all about what the chakras are, you learn all about the chakras in terms of how they work in you. And you go through them in a psychological way in this book. So if you don't like psychology, if you want the more magical aspect and the unknown and all of that, then this isn't going to be the book for you. So the first section is Discovering the Rainbow Bridge, Wheels That Heal, the Human Biocomputer, Character Armour, the 7 Rights, the 7 Identities, Demons of the Chakras, Childhood Development and Adult Development. I know that in the future, should I be blessed with children, this book will have a big part of that, you know, a big part to do with how I raise them. I can't really explain besides saying that what I read in this book seems the most sensible thing to me to raise children. However, I do think that you can get obsessive with that kind of thing, and the stuff that you could do wrong, or the stuff that could screw them up kind of thing, and this is one of those books that could make you go a little bit over the edge if you're that kind of person. I also, I do crystal healing. I've got a qualification for crystal healing, and when this was before, I read this book before I had the qualification, but I did used to do crystal healing on myself, if that makes sense. I just hadn't actually got the certificate for it yet. When I used to do crystal healing on myself, I was in the right area with my chakras. I always knew that it was my root area. Okay, so from my heart downwards, I always knew that that was the area where the problem was. Heart upwards, I was flourishing, I was fine. But when your chakras are imbalanced, if one is off, it throws them all off. So with me, my heart upwards was doing fab, and my heart downwards just seemed to get worse and worse and worse, to the point of my root chakra was just diabolical. That was a big problem for me with depression and anxiety, the basic right to exist. It just really wasn't very good, and it's been something that I've struggled with. Even though I'm no longer depressed, it's been something that I have struggled with really for a long time, because some of those some of the things that just come naturally to some people, that are just rites of passage that we just go out and do in our lives. Because I have a disease, I have been very limited in some aspects of my life, that I haven't been able to do these things. And now I find myself about to be 30 and not knowing how to do some of the simplest things that some adults, you know, most other adults know how to do. And yet then in other areas I'm really far ahead, and I'm kind of looking back and thinking, what's taken you so long, you know? So but for me personally, I always think that everything happens for a reason, and that's benefited my path endlessly. But so did this book, because it taught me how to deal with that. Then it goes through the actual chakras. So the next section after the introduction is chakra 1, and it goes through shades of red, unfolding the petals, growing the lotus, traumas and abuses, general effects of traumas and abuses, character structure, and restoring the lotus. And it does that for every single one. And I think it was in those that I learned about the things like body type for addiction and different things like that. It's a really, really interesting book. Even if you're not spiritual, even if you couldn't give a crap about chakras, and maybe it's your partner who's spiritual or your child who's spiritual, and that's why this book ends up lying about your house, give it a read, because it will change the way you look at everything. It's really, really good. You don't have to actually believe or follow the concept of chakras themselves to use the information in this book, but obviously that is who this book is written for, so it helps if you do. But there is still so much meat in this book in terms of juicy information, that even if you didn't follow the chakra system or hold any value for it whatsoever, you'd still get a hell of a lot out of this book. It isn't an easy read. No, I'm lying. The introduction isn't an easy read, that first section. So that first section is only 45 pages long. That was the section that I was like, oh, I'm not clever enough to read this book when I read it the first time. So 45 pages, get past that 45 pages, and then the rest is so easy and so interesting. And because as you go through each chakra, you are going through the same thing. So like chakra 1, like I just said, I read those out to you. Shades of red is the first section. Chakra 2, the first section is shades of orange. So it goes through the same things in each section. You get used to that pattern, and it feels familiar and it feels good. And I found myself kind of getting to a point and being like, oh, okay, so now we're doing solar plexus. What's this bit? Kind of, do you know what I mean? Like I got really excited about that. So yeah, highly recommended. 9 out of 10, I would say. for the same reason, things can always be added to and changed, things can always get better. I think when you say 10 out of 10, that's really, really final, isn't it? So 9 out of 10, but really 10 because I love it. So I hope that you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know and I will get back to you. If you are enjoying the videos that we are posting here on this channel, please do subscribe to us so that you don't miss anything. But remember that you have to press the little bell next to the subscribe button to actually get notifications, because for some reason the subscribe button doesn't do anything anymore. So yeah, speak to you in a video soon. Blessed be. Bye.